Good? For the folks here as well as online, welcome to the Global Center for Christ Consciousness. Beloved Father, Mother God, of the highest heaven, we give thanks for your abundant presence in and through us. Let your holiness descend into our being and radiate through every particle of our being, from the highest essence of our being to the most mundane atoms and molecules, cells. Let the music of God play in and through us as us. Let the song of God be so thoroughly present in each of us, and then a harmony within all of us, that it speaks throughout the world to all souls. Come back to love, come back to God. Let us be pillars of that presence. Let all beings throughout all dimensions, throughout all spheres, throughout all time, throughout all dimensions, let them all sense right now something is happening on earth. The children of God are beginning to awaken. They should all know this and feel this so palpably because of our commitment to being the presence of God. In advance, we give thanks that the Holy Divine Mother, the Holy Spirit of God, is moving in and through us to manifest this truth, this prayer, this affirmation. And we give thanks that we've had the courage and inspiration and openness to hear this prayer so that it could come through us. And this begins to manifest here and now. And so it is. Thank you. And now for our mission statement and our sacred reading.
Morning. Please help us say the mission statement. If you need it, it's in the seat backs right in front of you. It's the first one, if you need to find it. Together we say, the Global Center for Christ Consciousness is a spiritual center for students and masters on the spiritual path. We are dedicated to awakening the inner Christ and to creating a world of love, peace, joy, and abundance. C.S. Lewis. Imagine yourself as a living house. God comes in to rebuild this house. At first, perhaps you understand what God is doing, getting the drains right, stopping the leaks in the roof, and so on. You knew these jobs needed done, so you're not surprised. But soon enough, God starts shaking things up a bit more, in a way that frightens you a little, and it doesn't seem to make any sense. What on earth is God up to? The explanation is, God is building quite a different house from the one you thought of, and making lots of changes. He's adding new sections, possibly a whole new floor or level. You thought you were being made into a simple little cottage, but God is building a palace, and he intends to come and live in it. And so it is. Yes.
Wow. Jeez. Nice stuff. Wow. So much said there, but what a great ending, you know. You were thinking you were being made into a nice cottage, but instead a castle. And then it ends with, wait for it, so that God could move in. Like, whoa. As is our custom, what would you like me to talk about today? Our song that we shared before we went live was Shambhala by Three Dog Night. What is it?
Healing from Stockholm syndrome.
Hold on one sec. Okay, one more.
Peace and calm.
Okay. A great variety as usual. Um, See, the folks online are just thinking, wow, I wonder what happened. Nothing. Somebody's phone went off, I think. Yeah. And the first request that I want to comment, and in case you're new to this and watching online, I just kind of take off with it. You know, it happens. The Holy Spirit comes in and just starts to help me. It's a dance, and all these words you give, which are seemingly arbitrary and separated, reigniting passion and creativity versus, let's say, healing Stockholm syndrome. You know, what Sunday do you go to and go, could you talk about Stockholm syndrome? You know, does that happen every day? No. But we're not an everyday place, and we're not an everyday group. All these things, everything can be woven together. It's only humans that live with separated minds that see no connection. And it's a funny thing because there's something called schizophrenia, which can be genius levels of mind, but it's in fragmented pieces, right? So the sad thing is, the great thing is that schizophrenia is magnificent mind. But the sad thing is, it's an illness because they don't know how to bring it together. Well, everybody on planet Earth, in my opinion, is schizophrenic to some degree. How do I know that? Because they think in such fragmented forms. Even politics, they're fragmented. It's this group versus that group. How do you weave it together? That's genius. That's brilliant. That's God. That's inspiration. Anybody can see separation. Just watch the connectedness to things. How they talk about each other, politics, or your exes, tell their children, your dad, your mom, and they go after each other. That's this world, and it's sick. But that's not the world God intends. Stockholm syndrome. That's my way of teaching. Everybody's got Stockholm syndrome. There's people going, that's not true. Yes, it is. It's true. You know how we know that? Because everybody defends this insane world. This place gets you, takes you, kidnaps you, screws up your mind, screws up your belief systems, makes you believe this is the real world. That's Stockholm syndrome. To make you think your, captors, the ego, your attackers are somehow the right, and your original parents, God, is no longer existent or is ashamed of you. You're brainwashed, you're hypnotized. I just want to say something else on that because I can feel something fun. But bear with me if it doesn't seem fun to you. What cracks me up, like with politics, there's like one group of these two the dualistic groups. One group's kind of more assertive and aggressive, they call it. Some people call it, especially the opposite group. They're so aggressive, they move too fast. And these people are going, all of those people are annoying. They keep everything at a slow pace, and all they want to do is complain. What's amazing to me is the more intense people, when they lose an election, they get depressed. Watch their interviews when they've lost an election. We just don't even understand how this happened. The depressed group gets angry. We hate that new person. So the intense people go low, and the low people go high. Because everything tries to find its balance. In everything is all things. So one group, they're going to find their other side when they lose an election. The other group's going to find their side when they lose an election. What really needs to happen, and I'm not telling you this is going to happen or it's going to repair this crazy world. But what would be beautiful is any person running for these positions, they should say, you know what? I don't want to do dualistic. I refuse to hate on them or them. I'm going to bring something more to the center. What's wrong with me saying, I really admire some of the things they do. And I really admire some of the things they do. But nobody's going to vote for you because they'll shame that. Both sides will hit you. Oh, look, a non-committed central person. That's Stockholm again. They want you out here in the dualistic, hateful world. Choose your battles. Hate somebody. Just tell us who you hate. If you hate us, get out. We don't like you. If you hate them, we still don't like you, but we'll trust you for a little while. You can join us. Then none of it's really love, because this world is built from a crazy part of us that said, what would life be like without God? Ta-da! This is what life would be like without God. And reaching Shambhala is found in the book of Revelation when we hear. In Genesis, you hear about the fall, Adam and Eve, Garden of Eden. That's a beautiful metaphor about how we separated from God. The fall is us falling from consciousness. But what if, as it said, all things are within you? Have you ever heard that line? It's all things are within you. Do you believe that line? Okay, then let's go with it. If all things are within you, then the fall took place right here. I lived in heaven, higher consciousness, which now that I have a body, it becomes upper three chakras. I once lived in paradise, and then I fell. And the Bible describes the morning stars fell from the heavens. That's us. We are stars, which are sons of God. But when the universe was created, there were stars that blew out away from one great, great central sun. They blew apart and they became stars in the sky. And what's interesting is we land on earth and we look up and look at them. And one of them is you. There's a star for every soul ever created. There's actually a star for every... You are a star. Isn't that great? Wow. Now you can call your parents and tell them. Hey, listen, all that ignoring me? Well, that doesn't apply anymore because I'm a star. But, you think the universe revolves around you, and it does. So, Mom, Dad, guess what? Yeah. So, we're all these bright, beautiful stars, and your body is made of stardust. Plasma. It's, wow, this light, liquid light energy that's in stars is in star dust, and my body is made of star dust. Then how did I end up looking like this? How did I end up with an aging body? My arthritic elbow doesn't feel like stardust, right? My spastic colon doesn't feel like stardust. Why do I have all these issues? Because we've forgotten who we are. Something's got to change. There's this idea, law of attraction, for example, which is really into create what you want, no, be careful. You're really learning most of the time techniques in making things go your way. And the reason that's attractive and it attracts so many people, which is a great line, the law of attraction should be called the law of attracting broken people, because what they're doing is getting people that will learn how to power up themselves and make things happen. That's how we got here. Making things happen is how we got here, how we created an insane world. The only way you can reverse that is becoming a co-creator with God. Not you becoming a little tyrannical, look at me, I manifested this and I manifested this. It's, I'm done making things happen. Even that, things go better and I can feel sort of having a better life these days now that I learned to make things happen. But if you check in, you'll see that you're still not at peace. You're still not totally happy. Yes, things are going better because things go your way. But you're deep down, if you look, something's still missing, and it's God. I refuse to manifest, which you've heard me say, that's man's infestation. Manifesting things is man's infestation. Become a co-creator with God. Well, I don't know how. No, listen, you don't want to know how, because deep down you still have issues with God, pushing God away. Because when we came into this universe, everything became dualistic and fragmented, including us and God. Why did God let this happen? See, we have these deep down thoughts and fears, questions. Why does God allow war? And God's going, I'm not any part of any of that. And there's some people that are so ignorant, they'll say, well, I guess God's everywhere, so God is in rape and God is in war and God. No, what a twisted way to try to understand God. To justify that God is part of your messed up world so that you can then believe in God. Instead, I'm going to challenge you, meaning any of us, challenge ourselves and each other to say, what if God has nothing to do with that? You know who has to be accountable? Us. And it's so amazing how there's a law of grace and a law of karma. When we hear about karma, it's amazing. Like, God, universal law called karma. Yeah, it's coming back to get me. Or it's God. Karma is God's law. It's so funny how we can blame that on God. But when we have grace, we just think, oh man, I guess I deserve this. I guess I manifested something new today. It's funny that the good things don't get credited to God, but all the negatives do. Because deep down, we've got God issues. So, at the end of the day, there's cause and effect. Now, the word karma, when you hear that, you think of negative karma before you think of positive karma. When someone says, yeah, I've had a lot of karma this week, you don't go, excellent. Usually they mean, a lot of karma. Where did we get that notion? Because the word is Sanskrit, means cause and effect. It means both. When you hear karma, it's synonymous with, well, what goes around comes around. Have you ever heard that said in a positive light? Or in general, is it, hey, what goes around comes around. You're such a beautiful person. Any day now, good is coming your way. An eye for an eye. How often have you heard that used positively? Is it a third eye optometrist that said that? How do you get eye for an eye as a positive thing? An eye for an eye. That means what you do to me, I'm going to do to you. It has this negative connotation. But why? Who twisted these words like that? People that are no longer in touch with deserving good. So we assume karma. It's a law we created at the beginning of time so that we can say at any moment, something is out to get me. That's what karma is. Karma is my fear of God, and it's not just a fear, I am quite certain God is going to strike me dead at any moment because God knows the naughty things I've done. If you're going to own any of that, you have to own the positives. Haven't you ever done anything good? Yeah, but what? Karma is cause and effect. And guess what? Cause and effect. Those aren't two words technically. In Sanskrit, karma means cause-effect. Okay? Now, the original cause is God. Because cause means to bring into being. The original cause is God. Your original creator cause is God. Nice, right? Can't deny that. And you're God's original effect. Since then, all kinds of causes and effect, karma, have happened on this planet and in this universe. Cause, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect. There's all kinds. It's a law that something initiates, ignites, activates, and then there's an outcome. You are the outcome of God's beauty. God said, I'm so blissed out and in a state of love, I'm going to create you. How? Because I'm a cause, you're an effect. And if we were there now beamed up to God and we said, we're the effect, we're the karma of God. Uh-oh. It's good news. God is the original cause. We're the original effect. However, there's uppercase C, cause, which always has to come from love, and lowercase c, cause. Why did this happen? Because it came back to me. Now, we say, but I don't remember doing anything that brought this about. You don't have to. It's called reverse engineering. If every cause has an effect, then every effect has a cause. And if my effect is I lost my job today, somewhere that was initiated, it was caused somewhere, right? Every thought becomes a thing. Thoughts are things. But technically, it's causes are effects, have effects. Thoughts are things. It's the same initiation of something into activity. So your belief systems, even without conscious cognitive thinking and processing, the very vibration of what you are, your belief systems are already a cause. Even if you're disconnected from God, but it's a lowercase c. Any of your even your prideful thoughts that you're a wonderful artist is still a lowercase c, and it's going to create lowercase e effects. Poor sales or unfulfilling outcomes of your art. Co-create with God, and you are part of C, uppercase C. I am in the causation of God. My words, my actions, my paint, my art, my parenting comes from being aligned with God. Okay? When I slip out of that connection, that deservability, when I doubt who I am, which is normal, it doesn't make you bad, but when you doubt who you are, you're slipping from uppercase causation C, creator, to lowercase c. And it's sad. But the problem is, I've also dropped my vibration. And like attracts like, my vibration will attract. So causation is a vibration. It's a frequency. And it sends out. And it will come back with effects that reflect it. In a way, it's like saying life is a prayer. And what's coming to you is what you prayed for. Whatever that might be. We like to say, oh my God, it's so synchronistic. I prayed for, finding a piece of gum and I found it. Oh my God, that's a miracle. But then when something goes negative, I don't know who did this, man. Wow. Somebody did that to me. So interesting that we're afraid of owning all of this. That isn't God that makes us afraid of owning this. It's the ego. The ego infiltrates our mind, talks us into creating ridiculous things in our lives, addiction and poor behaviors and poor thoughts, words, deeds, that are not in alignment with God, then tells us, I'd duck if I were you, because this is going to boomerang back. Then why did you convince me to do that? It wasn't me. The ego's not going to see itself for what it's really doing. And the ego, let's just think of it as a fear-based part of ourselves. So this concept, cause and effect. Now, most of us would be courageous enough if I said, do you guys believe in cause and effect? Yes. So if I put out some really good vibes, do you believe good karma is going to come to me? Most people would say yes. But they start to hedge a little when I say, well, if that's true, then is it also true that whatever is happening in my life came from me? No, I don't agree with that one. Of course not. Holy moly, Of course not. It's impossible. If you don't understand this, you will not be able to stand in your center and use the laws of cause, effect, or attraction properly. Because you can't cherry pick which things you like of a law and call it okay. You don't go 110 miles an hour on the 45 mile an hour highway and the cop pulls you over and you say, but I had my seatbelt on. That overrides the speed. It doesn't work that way. I've tried it. No, I'm kidding. So, no, but you can't cherry pick universal laws. It's true or it isn't. So then how do I break free of, you're asking about reigniting passion and creativity. You can't feel passion, real passion. Addictive passion, that's different. Real passion and creative flow, which I'll call creativity and passion combined is called inspiration. You can't feel really inspired while you're disconnected from God, from love. So it takes that humility to say, of myself, meaning my ego, little self, I'm nothing. But when I'm plugged into God, oh my God, it's amazing. I feel like I have more energy. I feel like I have so much more like light in my being. Answers come to me more spontaneously. It's easier to find things I thought I lost. I'm writing a song and a line comes to me that was blocked for a little while. Ideas, energy, flow, it comes flowing through because you're plugged in. That's where that true essence is coming from, God. But we have free will. We can block that. We can cut that off and say, I've got it. And that's very, very sad. but that's what most human beings live off of. It's called living off of reserves. You're running on your own energy, and it's going to run out. It has to, because it's not even real. You're running on an energy from here, and it's not real. Even if you're here thinking that you're running on some sort of high energy, some high frequency, because you know how to do special breathing techniques. If a teacher comes to me and were to say to me, I can show you how to turn air into chi, which is of course possible, and how to take that chi and make it magnify your being by itself. This is the magic right here. Make yourself filled with chi and energy. You'll feel energized. You'll sleep better. But it's an energy of this world. I have no interest, because all it is still a new version of something exciting, but it's still of this world. Tell me how we can plug into God. Tell me how you plug into God. Tell me how, even with a broken body that can't do fantastic, Qigong exercises out on the Red Rocks, you're confined to a bed. Tell me how you're finding the grace of God, the peace of God. That impresses me. Just because you create some herbal formula that, wow, look at this, and look what it does for me. I think it's great. But without God, it's nothing. It doesn't impress me. And I might seem a little boring that way, because the things of this world don't impress me. I've heard it all, I've seen it all, and I've laughed at it all. It's fun, it's funny, it's interesting, it's curious, it's weird, it's all kinds of things. But it's of this world. There's two ways to deal with karma, or cause and effect. Because again, the word karma, there's this guy doing a talk on karma. I don't want to watch that. It's negative. No, it's the law of attraction. Oh yeah, I like that. Why? Because karma sounds negative. Attraction means I get what I want. So you get a bunch of people viewing it. It's like so weird. So we'll have to title this something sexy, okay? How to get what you really want. YouTube, and they're going to sign on. And then they're going to hear me go, so you got to take responsibility. I'm out, delete. But the law of attraction is the same as the law of cause and effect. How do you attract something if you're not causing it? You see, but lowercase c versus uppercase c. So there's two ways to end, seemingly, karma. Are you going to really end karma? Then you're ending cause effect. What you really mean to say is, how can I shift it into more positive attraction, more positive karma, and not negative? You don't think in terms of, I want to end karma, because that's a universal law. You're here because you're an effect. But you're saying, I want to shift it to becoming a co-creator, not a negative karmic creator, okay? So how do we do that? There's only two ways. One is the lengthier, tedious healing your wounds. You have to learn. If you wanted two ways to shift from the negative karma, the negative attraction. Why the law of attraction isn't even working for you? Because you have too much negative attraction still finishing itself off, because you have karma, bad karma. So how do I get out of that? Well, I'll just keep positive thinking. There's another way. You have to speed this up. You have to erase, you have to heal the old wounds. You've got to clear the past to move into the present and the future. So you sit with this through healing arts. Talk your stuff. Sponsor your stuff. 12-step your stuff. Journal your stuff. I know that doesn't sound fun, but we've got to get the old you out so that it's not running your program, your ship anymore. Get it out of the driver's seat by retiring it. Wow, I just noticed that when I was asking that person, could I have some ice water? I was afraid they would be offended at me asking for ice water at the restaurant. They're probably mad. Stop. Where's that coming from? Oh, I remember it was the 3rd century in a desert at an oasis. This band of, Arab kidnappers took me, and because I asked for water. And okay, I'm sorry that happened. But would you like to move forward to where you don't get twitches when you ask for ice water? Is that okay? No, I want to keep that. And so it is. But if you're okay moving forward, isn't that nice? But you can't just pretend that other memory's not there. You can't. You can't minimize it. You can't deny it. You can't blame it and get anywhere. If you want to get somewhere, I'm ready to start becoming aware. Know thyself. I'm ready to start becoming aware of who I am and what makes me tick. The triggers and past patterns and programs. And not to dwell and obsess on them, but just to see them and go, whoa, got it. And then the next step is towards healing. Empty your cup, refill your cup. Own these things, see these things, and then do something with them. Well, what do? One day it's going to be Reiki. One day it'll be the crystal bed therapy. One day it'll be crying. One day it'll be just taking care of yourself, nurturing. A warm bath you deserve. A little nurturance, spa day, whatever it happens to be. Some days it's crying and vomiting out the past, and other days, refilling. But remember the refilling. Cry it out, do what you need to do, talk it out, journal it out. Then, now what would you like instead? Always add, and what would you like instead? What shallow and selfish people do is they want to only talk about what they want. I'm tired of this. I'm going to make that happen instead. It sounds cool, but it's sad because it means they're afraid to look at what's in their way. I'm just going to make this happen. Why don't we talk about what didn't happen first? Talk about that stuff. And I know a lot of law of attraction people say, never, never, never talk about the past. It's negative thinking, which is why they're not enlightened. They're just making things happen and it looks good. At the end of the day, I'm one of those, and you might be as well. I'm one of those people who have to pick up the pieces of all the law of attraction people and all the positive thinking people and all the whatever else people that crash, or the find my soulmate person. All those people that come back and say, you remember my one and only? Yes. I need another one and only. Help me find another one and only. What happened to that one? Well, like you said, it'll go about 3 months, and then it'll go a year and a half because I tell them these things, and they say, you were right. I'm not like sitting there, yes, I was right. I feel, I knew I was right. But I feel for them because their heart got invested in that job, that move, that new state they moved to, the relationship they got into. I feel for people, and it's sad to see that they put themselves so intensely into things as though it's going to be the answer, and then they crash. Our job, any of us in such a position, is hear them out, be present with the pain that they're going through, and watch for when it's time to redirect them to the new life, whatever that new life is. You see? You don't just tell them, well, you shouldn't have. You listen, and you be present with them in that pain. Little pieces of advice. You might want to see a counselor. You might want to look at that. You might want to try some journaling, whatever you feel inspired. But help people when they have fallen. Because when they've fallen in love and then fallen out of love, when they've crashed romantically, financially, whatever the case may be, when they've fallen, it's a symptom of the original fall. So when they have fallen romantically and emotionally and crashed, when they've fallen financially, remember, look at the deeper things in life and realize this is one of their enactments of having fallen from God. So their pain in this world can be measured as real. Be with them. I'm very sorry that that happened. You see, you say that. Be kind and compassionate. Let them feel heard. Then they open up more. Thank you. They might cry more, but something in them, thank you. Someone saw me and heard me, yes, and I'm sorry. Now they're more likely to hear you when you say, and would you like to know some other ideas? I'd recommend this or that. And they're more likely to hear you. Shut them down, they'll shut you down. Now you've made no difference. And in fact, you may add to the program of nobody listens to them, nobody cares about them. See? So being a bridge is like the ultimate expression, the highest thing we can do on this planet. You can call it forgiveness, be compassionate, non-reactive. You can have all kinds of names for what you think. What is the highest quality a human can have? And you name it. I'm going to tell you. Whatever you name, there's another word for it, bridging. When you're compassionate, you're bridging. When you're forgiving, you're bridging. And the ultimate bridge in the universe is the Divine Mother. Human beings have no clue what bridging is until they've watched her work. Because she can watch the most disgusting behavior and she'll always be there to bridge that situation to God. If somebody could listen. Always the bridge. Some of us are like, well, I can bridge some things, not that. No way. God, to be able to hear anything and remain centered and present. And some of us are like, well, I'm getting better at that. I can hear people's pain, people's suffering without getting reactive and triggered. I can do pretty well with that. It's when it's my stuff getting triggered, I don't do so well. And of course, that's going to be challenging. But there's going to be a day. God will come and wipe away all tears. And that's when we accept the bridge back home. Shambhala was originally here. It's a symbol. Shambhala. It's the New Jerusalem. There's people that, I'm going to go on a trek in the Himalayas. I'm going to look in the North Pole for Shambhala. Where did that come from? Where did the city of gold come from? This fabled city of gold. And there actually is one buried in the Gobi Desert, but I won't go into that right now. So there are fabled cities of gold. There are fabled places of higher dimensionality where even ethereal beings still to this day exist. And you could go on a trek and you could come back with a story and write a book about, I met these 5 mystic ethereal beings and they taught me this. And people will go, wow. What's even more important than you having that experience, not high, by the way, not when you're stoned. I'm talking about you can actually have this experience. What's more impressive to me than you having that experience and writing a book and selling 1 million copies is when you live it. When the New Jerusalem descended from the sky to earth, I am earth. The New Jerusalem is here. It's my higher consciousness. And in book of Revelation, it's coming to an end in that book where it's talking about, and everything's new. The New Jerusalem descends to the earth. That's Shambhala coming to the earth. Oh, I thought I had to go look for it. You see? The people that go out trekking for it. I love sacred sites. I believe in the power and energy of sacred sites. But you can go to sacred sites to get what you think it offers, or you can go to share what you have within yourself and what it carries as well. Bring the two together, bridging. Bring your light. I don't have any. I'm going to sacred sites because I don't have any, and I'm hoping the sacred sites can. There isn't enough energy in any sacred site to fix you when you think you're completely hopeless, messed up. Instead, you go, you breathe in the light from these centers, and if all the sacred sites I've gone to and brought people to, we centered in our Christ self, we joined in prayer and unification of consciousness, and we downloaded into the Earth Mother the energy of love, the energy of the Christ energy. And we don't tell her what to do with it, by the way. You know, in case you don't realize, I think the trees could really use a little extra, you know. The dolphins need it. Just love, man. Just download the Christ frequency. She'll know exactly what to do with it, where it needs to go today and whatever. There's nothing wrong with you saying, send your world leaders, our love send to world leaders. There's nothing wrong with you setting an intention, but just staying attached to the outcome of it and controlling it is not necessary. So, on one hand, if I'm going to heal karma, the negative effects that had to have come from negative causations, if I'm in a negative, unloving state of mind, I am causing negative effects. How do I know I've done it? If you have negative things happening in your life, which we do, guys, we do. I do and we do. I meaning each individual and we collectively. I know that some people are going to go, no, I have nothing but positives in my life. Great for a narcissist. Listen, you're not here by yourself. What about us? Well, I'm great and I'm blissed out. And I inherited my parents' money, so now I don't have to think about anybody. I'm great. Me and my 10 cats, we don't care about anybody else. We just live in my house and we have food delivered, by, or granola.com delivery, and we just live all connected with the Earth Mother. except you don't have any human interaction. Oh, I don't want that. I don't like humans. I know, and that's the problem. This isn't a little world unto yourself kind of thing. You're a you, but you're also a we, and we have problems. So we need your help. Come out of your cocoon. Come out of your isolation, which is really a prison. Come out of that cell and join with us and understand. We're all in this together. So even the presence of sacred sites, and then what do you do with it? You know, how does it make a difference in the world? Instead of becoming, holier than thou, to recognize we're down, the humility. That's the beautiful thing. There's a law, a universal law called humility. Humility is empowering. We think humility means demeaning. No, it's empowering, because true humility means if I try to take credit of my human self, what good does that do? Even the planet's billions of years old. How old are you? 50. It doesn't compare. This little self, don't get too excited and proud of it. But your soul has power, because it has the power to remember your true self. And you could get the New Jerusalem, the Shambhala, to descend from the heavens into your heart. Your heart gets ignited, and it's like, that's what passion and creativity, real and new passion and creativity is. Your cup runneth over. It fills up, and you can't not smile. You can't not feel excited. You can't not want to love, right? It just happens. My cup runneth over. Now, we have days where it doesn't feel like it's running over at all. That's okay. You know why it's okay? Because there are other people around you who their cup is overflowing today, and they can be helpful. But are you one of those that sees when your friend isn't overflowing today and offers a little extra smile? Or are you a world unto yourself again? Be aware. When your cup runneth over, share it. When it isn't, soak it in. And let others shine that light towards you. Let them say, hey, let me pick you up today. Not in an enabling way, a rescuing way, in a loving, compassionate way. So on one hand, we heal our old karma and so on with healing arts. Heal the patterns, heal, shamanistic work or whatever you do. Rebirthing, inner child work, whatever. I mean, it's all kind of funny at the end of the day. Holy children of God. We are the bliss of God. Oh, it's just like, wow. And what do? We're on earth going, Om Mani Padme, boom shakalaka, tapping, We must look spastic to people in heaven, because they're looking at humans going, Om, whatever other trippy kinds of things, get some pranayama with your, ayahuasca pranayama. It must look a little bizarre. And these beings in heaven, the wings, like, there should be a cartoon on this where they just go, have they tried being the presence of God? No, they're just trying to get back. What do you do? Just trying to fire up my kundalini. And then you're like walking around cities going, a kundalini casualty, and nobody knows what to do with you. And then they put you in a hospital, and you're like, and they're going, what happened? We don't know, but they just keep saying something about Sedona. Sedona did this to me. So we don't really quite know what happened. And a great healer would walk in and go, I know what happened. I went to that workshop, I did that drum circle, and stuff started getting passed around, and as soon as the group leader said, I think I can fly off the mountain, Bell Rock, we think there might have been questionable issues going on here. And a real healer would take that person who's, understand, not just messed up because of what they did. Deep down, they also feel ashamed that it didn't work, because they wanted God. but they tried an ill means of getting God. And that's some of the karma coming back, why they don't heal very easily. Kundalini casualties, people that get put into, hospitals, mental hospitals, because they've got all this stuff that broke them, including what I'll call premature Kundalini rising. It can really mess people up. What would help is if somebody walks in and says, I'm sorry, I know, come here, and hold them, because their soul knows. Their body's reacting still, but their soul knows. Talk to their soul and say, I'm sorry. I know you meant well and you meant to find God. Do you know God? Do you know God? Do you know God? They're doing some trippy stuff. Just say, yes, and just hold them or be with them. Make eye contact. Whatever feels inspired, you're going to reach their soul somehow. But you have to talk to their soul. When you do an exorcism, which is another extreme version of something, you don't want to get too caught up in talking to the voices. You need to talk to the soul in the person and bring it forward, because something was so hurt in them that they gave up themselves, sank, and let other things come forward. Now you have to find that soul and say, when I want your opinion, I'll ask for it. Get out of the way. You, come here. And you bring that soul forward. Now, it sounds easy, but remember, there's a soul that didn't want to be forward. Why? Shame, hurt memories, broken family stuff, or whatever it is, past lives, I don't deserve stuff. None of that is true right here. You can stay in that if you want, but I'm telling you, none of that is true. Do you have the courage to come here? There's an exercise I've done in workshops where I just take somebody and say, could you do me a favor and stand across the room over there? And just stand and hold my arms out and say, now come here. And they'll take a couple initial steps, and then their steps start getting slower and slower, and then the tears and the shaking's happening. I'm just standing there like this. See, because deep down we know that's my dad, who wasn't very whatever, or he was great and died, or he just wasn't very nice. My mom, but it's also God. It's also mother energy, father energy. Come here, beloved. And they can't make it all the way to me. See, and that's a metaphor. You have to create such an empowered experience that people in a simple exercise like that can bring everything out. And the truth is, you don't want all that other stuff. What you want is God. If I say, what you want is me, that's the typical guru thing, not interested. You have to know that it's just you choosing to be the presence of God in this moment. So now all of a sudden you're a different level sponsor, a different level counselor, a different level parent. You shift things to another level, man, because you're saying, I know what I would like to do right now is say this or do this. But when you say, but what is the greater good, man, you are channeling the presence of God in a very disturbed world. Now, to heal karma and all that, healing is the technique, more or less, the various forms of healing, but you have to get in touch with what stuff you hold and bring it forward and then replace it. That's the healing path. The other technique for healing karma is called grace. And people totally misunderstand grace. They think it means you woke up one day and you have no issues. Yeah, a friend of mine worked a lot on some old hurts that they did to others, other hurts that other person, that hurts that were done to them. I just, I received grace, so it's all gone. Like it's an easy erasing technique. It doesn't actually work that way. I'm sort of going to break the rules by explaining this, but what the heck. I'm supposed to tell you grace is when you surrender to God, and God will bestow a new dispensation where all your stuff is gone and now you just walk in a state of grace because you're so special. It actually doesn't work that way. Grace is like a very, very cool, real form of being stoned, but a real form. What I mean by that is that even though stuff might still be happening, you don't care. Grace is a state of mind, not a state of circumstance. This is the tricky part. Some of us are like, okay, well, Michael, I heard you talk about grace. I need that. I want that. You don't just go, grace, ready, go. I don't have any issues anymore and all my karma's gone. Grace has to be pure intended, pure hearted, and you open up. And we think it's God finds you now deserving of grace, which means God's going to save you from your stuff. That's not. That's the definition people have. That's not the real definition. The real definition is you shift into a state of peace. And you might still be going through the same stuff. And if you go, wait, I prayed for grace and I'm still annoyed by my ex, that wasn't a sincere prayer for grace. You wanted to be fixed. Grace is this state of mind. And I jokingly said it's like being stoned, meaning that you're sort of like oblivious to it, but in a good, healthy way. It's amazing because it's a state of grace. You're walking in the light. And stuff will still likely happen. I say will still likely happen. I can't guarantee and promise you all the same issues are going to be there. That's kind of negative. But I also can't promise you none of your past will be there. The state of grace isn't measured by whether the things happen. It's going to be the state of mind, the state of heart that you're in while still things go on. Is that making sense? It's pretty sweet because you realize, I used to react to this and this. How come I'm not, it's grace has entered you. Perfectly always? No. Somehow, some portion of it has entered. That's how you know. You're in a different state because you're not reacting the way you did. It's great evidence. So a state of grace is like, a miracle bubble. And how do you get to a state of grace? Enough pure intention to experience forgiveness. I am forgiving all the naughty things you did. That's a limited form of forgiveness. A real state of forgiveness means I don't care what you did. I want the presence of God. Now, when you get the presence of God, not by forgiving each person, do the forgiveness, yes. But you get in such a state of forgiven mind, a forgiving and forgiven, blessed mind, you're in a miracle bubble. And it can seem like stuff that you thought was going to happen doesn't happen. That's one definition of a miracle, is when something by nature, natural law, should be happening and doesn't happen. Like here's this rock rolling down a hill, heading your way, and there's nothing in between it and your house. It's picking up speed. It's called physics, trajectory. Here it comes. It will strike your house in 5, 4, 3. What happened? The rock stopped. Of course, scientists are something weird. We don't know. It must have been an anomaly. Yeah, you're the anomaly. Trying to analyze miracles. Just accept it. Something that by law should have happened, including when I got divorced, I should have had a nervous breakdown, and instead, I just kept screaming, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I am free at last. Now, that looks a little insane or stoned. But it isn't. It's a state of grace. It's like you could be in court, losing whatever it is that you're fighting for your business that you created. Someone's taking it from you. You should be nothing but enraged and angry. And instead, you're like doing the river dance. You don't let the judge see it, but you're, no, Your Honor. Down here, man, I'm dancing. A state of grace can get you to that place. But you don't just go, grace, go. It's sincerely choosing to see and willing yourself to see everything as God sees it. And that's what God lives in, a state of grace. But we don't call it because it's not really grace, because grace implies problem and no longer there. But yes, you could call it that if need be. God lives in a constant state of grace. So when you align with God, you're aligning with grace. And that means to a degree, stuff still happens, but you notice that you don't react to it. You don't just say, I know I'm experiencing grace because stuff doesn't happen anymore. Be careful with that, because the ego will, in fact, bring in more negative karma to try to trigger you. Our job is, here's my state. Do what you will. But here's my state of being. I'm choosing to be in the grace of God. Yes, in a very fundamental sense, you could say grace is like grace, is this washing and baptism and purification of your being. And it is. But don't just keep it in the sort of church definition of it. You have to step up and take responsibility. You can't just say, wash me, Lord, and make me holy. You have to say, I'm willing to let go of unholiness. I'm willing to make room for grace. Big difference. Make grace happen to me, Lord, or I'm willing to be a participant. Step out of the way. I'm still aware that things may happen, but I'm becoming more aware it doesn't have power over me. So nice. The person on the deathbed, I'm afraid, I don't want to die. And the other person going, I'm good. On a deathbed, I'm good. Something's happened to them. Doesn't mean good guy, bad guy. Doesn't mean that. But the state that they're in is a result of a choice they made. One remains afraid, and I'm sorry for them, because that's what they've put out there. Another is in a state of grace. How? Because that's what seeds they planted. So what about the one? Well, it's too bad for them. No. If you're a witness of this, do it for them. Choose the light that they aren't choosing for themselves. Choose the peace that, don't just like, after all the things you've done, yeah, you deserve a bit of what's going on. No. Bring the grace to them. That's why you're here. We're only here to either experience the negative outcomes of our false beliefs or to receive the gifts of our healthy and holistic, holy beliefs. And when you can take a person who seems a bit astray, they can't get control of their life, they've done harm even to the last second, can you hold a vision that somewhere in them there is a light made in God's image and be the bellows that fans that into a flame? Through kind words. Doesn't mean enabling what they did, but let them know there's hope. And it's just, in their being. I know you did a lot of things you're sad about and you're afraid of. I'll close with that. My ex, when her mom was passing, she was hanging in way much, far longer than the doctor said that she needed to, and she was hanging in. So my ex went to see her mom at the end, and she was still hanging in there for days and a lot of pain. And then my ex called me and said, we don't know what to do. And this was my mother-in-law, and I'd never even spoke to the woman. She was that like just far out, and I couldn't relate to the conversation. She was always drinking and smoking, whatever. Now she's laying in bed, and she allowed her second husband was molesting the children, and it was really dark and messed up. I just said, put the phone next to her ear. Sorry. So they put the phone next to her ear. This is a woman who I'm not close to at all, but it doesn't matter, guys. And I just said, listen, I know you're hanging in because you're aware of the things you allowed in the household and the things you've done. And you just hear this, like pain. And I said, and I know, and I'm sorry. What you need to know is that one or more of your children has already brought the presence of God to this, the presence of peace. It's up to you to accept it. But all this pain that you're feeling, all of that can go immediately if you just soak in what I'm saying. And there was a sigh or something, and she immediately passed away. You have to bring hope. I know it doesn't seem feasible or even warranted to people that are as grossly behaving as some. I know that. We're not enabling that. What we're saying is, although there's this, there's also something else. And introduce that also. Because I guarantee you, if nobody releases them, they'll come back worse, doing harm to more people. And you will be partly contributing to that because you refused to introduce them to something else. It's kind of strange, but it's true. They're in front of you for a reason, and they're hoping you're the one that's going to say, peace be with you. Okay? They have a lot of people that aren't doing that. Be the one that does it differently. Even if you know there's some hurt there, Talk to your counselor about that. Don't take it out on the person who's needing to pass over with a light, a bit of hope. Please take a few centering breaths. As is obvious, one of you brought up gratefulness. What more could we be grateful for? And to whom should we be grateful? More than people who are willing to see light and hope in us. And I can promise you that the souls of other human beings, they'll know no level of gratitude greater than when you've given them a chance, a spark of light, a forgiveness. It isn't to enable. It's just to say, besides that, there's something else. And it's okay to feel the tears while I talk about those things. It's all right. It's okay if you feel some anger sitting there. It's okay if you feel sadness. It's all right. Don't hide it. Don't minimize it. Don't deny it. This world can be very sad and very hurtful. But I am saying to you, Divine Mother, I know this to be lowercase t true of our world, but I am committed to knowing God's world. I am committed to knowing the other option, living in a state of grace. I'm angry for things I've done, things that were done to me. I am. I feel hurt. I feel angry. I feel confused. But I have the right, and in fact, it's my destiny to take all of this and put it on the altar to the Divine Mother. I don't have to know what I've done and how all these things came around. All I need to do is one simple thing: own that if these things came to me on some level, some absurd part of me thought that this was how I was going to learn something. It might not seem rational, doesn't matter. Somehow I ended up here. Just owning at least that. What I do know is that I'm done with this. Not just the little events I can name, but the patterns behind it. Beloved Father, Mother God, help me to forgive as you forgive. Help me to release myself for ever believing I was less than a holy child of God, deserving or warranting or being open to different kinds of hurts, abuse, and selfishness. As a holy child of God, none of this can carry any relevance to me anymore. It makes no sense into my all-knowing soul. So I'm calling in your truth, your knowing of who I am and all the good that comes from those who accept that truth. I am a holy child of God. Think back to your life when someone did something very selfish or hurtful to you. Just witness it objectively for a moment. If it brings up emotions, it's fine, but give it just a moment. Just see it. Or that you witness someone else being hurt. Watch it just for a few seconds, just so that you acknowledge there it is. Now, imagine yourself as a holy being of light, angelic-like. And then tell the person that was being hurtful, enough. That's not going to happen anymore. Look at them. Look at how shocked, maybe terrified they are when they see the real you. Let that happen for just a moment. The shock, let it be there for a moment. and then watch their face melt from fear of you, shock, to love. Because they can see who you really are isn't just a strong being, it's a loving being. They're in the presence of love. They're not to be reprimanded because you're a powerful being of light. They're actually being blessed with grace. That is no more. You will not continue doing that. And you don't need to. Because the love you see in my face is also in yours. It's in your heart. I'm sorry you didn't know that. I'm sorry that people didn't teach you that. But it ends today. The peace that I am, you are. The peace that God is, you are. Holy, holy, holy. That's the vibe of the room. The moment, the healing, the grace of God is here. There's nothing for me to do, nothing to say. The grace of God is enough. Gently, gradually, open your eyes, look around, touch someone's hand, and say, I can feel it. I can feel the grace of God. I can feel it. I can feel the grace of God. If you see someone sitting alone, the back of their heart, a shoulder. Let no one remain alone. The grace of God. Some of you are like soaking it up, and others are like. And if you're any one of those like, I don't want to be touched. I don't believe in grace. I'm sorry for you. But we're still blessing you with the grace of God. Okay? Very nice. Thank you so much. Good, yes. Nice. There's tissue in front of you and the seat backs in front of you. Yeah, you got some. A lot of you got some. I think it's beautiful when folks express and let out those tears and so forth, because they're doing it for all of us. It's not just their isolated incidents or events. It's, it's there, man. It's for all of us. No matter how enlightened you think you are or what you think enlightenment is, it never means being cold or stoic to people's hurts. Never forget that Helen, who channeled A Course in Miracles, said to Jesus, what about the Holocaust and what happened in the Holocaust, which is one event. There's a billion Holocausts on this planet, but what about that? And Jesus didn't say, I just stay in my center. No. Jesus told her, I've cried many tears over that. And that meant a lot to me. That it's like, well, of course. It's okay to feel for everyone and what we go through. Jesus knows it's an illusion. Jesus knows this and that and the other. And yet, in the moment, you respect the illusion. You respect where people are at in the moment. So someone's crying, they might have never cried that issue before. And it's a very powerful thing. So without intruding, you can send a thought to them or a hand to their hand. Thank you. Meaning, I saw what you were going through. And it means a lot to me that you shared that, It's beautiful. All right. Can anyone share what you learned or heard today or gained today that might make the most difference for you. Yes?
Understanding about karma.
Understanding karma.
Understanding
Understanding Kundalini
Kundalini casualties.
casualties. Yeah, isn't that great? You know, there's people that they're like, I married 3 of those. You know, it's like, wow. Yes?
Understanding grace.
Understanding grace. Nice, yes.
Understanding
We are the global center for Christ consciousness. Each of us. God is, I am, we are the global center. It's for Christ consciousness. Stepping up and into that is such a beautiful thing. Yes, dear.
The old me has to move out, and God is moving in.
Yeah. Yeah, like, wow. Hey, would you like the presence of God? Yes, absolutely. Okay, well, you have to own all that isn't the presence of God and start working on that. No, I don't want to do that. You know, it's just strange. So, yeah, it's just strange. But it doesn't surprise me. People are afraid to see those things. Share them, speak them, cry them, sigh them. Let your cup be emptied. And not just wounds, even arrogance, even your strong opinions, you know, that there is no God, there's a science rules, government's number one, you can always trust the government. All those heady concepts that you think are outdated by now, people still cling to them. Anyone else? Yes.
Here's my state of grace. Do what you will.
Yeah. This is my state of grace. You do what you will out here, but I'm staying right here. One more over there.
Just the amazing that you always have what to do.
Yes, you do. Yes. The ever growing, you know, the ongoing path of healing. Then ending that, you said, and does that ever stop? Yes. The healers that don't know any better, that say things like, well, you know, we're like onions, and the one layer after another, and it never ends. We're always going to be. That isn't true. Have you ever found an onion that didn't have an ending? So how can they say we're like onions with layers that never end? That's a cosmic onion. If you're looking for a business name, you can take that. I just channeled it. The Cosmic Onion. New Age bookstore, The Cosmic Onion, where your issues will never end. Why would I want to buy your books? There is an ending. There is. But bridging. See, I'm going to bridge to those people that don't know what they're talking about. Bridging, which means, but sometimes it feels like it never ends. See how I honored them? Even though I won't perpetuate, it never ends, you'll never be done with your wounds. No, that's not true. But I will say, but it feels that way. So it honors that. And dualistic, government parties, they should do that with each other. We get what you're saying. We don't totally agree with that, but we see what you mean. I wonder how we can talk about that and bridge, you see? But that's not the typical way this world works, because the ego is too much in control. And that's okay. Find a state of grace despite the whirling winds around you. We're going to do our closing prayer. For a moment, please, our love offering. Be as generous as you can be. We very much appreciate it. In the bags go your donations. The baskets are what we use for people, special needs, means, people that are struggling, or sometimes special projects here at the center. That's the baskets, any extra donations. I'm proud to say, without revealing details, that somebody was needing to support to go, and if you're watching, hi, to see their mom who's passing away. And there was no means to getting there. And it's an amazing thing when the board members say, hey, I'm just letting you know, Jeff, who oversees the request like that, he goes to the board, hey, listen, board, somebody's struggling. I feel this is authentic and all that, because he has to vet these kinds of things. And it's not that we help everybody all the time in every way that they ask, but it felt right. He asked the board, and how amazing the kind of board we have that immediately it's yes, 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 yes. And, we send this person off and one of the board members says, I'm going to drive them to Phoenix Airport, You know, I was like, wow. I don't know that if they ended up having to do that, but just that's how your board members are. We're right in there working, getting better and better at saying yes to all the things we can when it's helpful and supportive, all right? But I'm very grateful that we were able to help that person. Our love offering prayer together. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you. We'll do our closing prayer as soon as they're done passing those around. But while they're passing those, let me share with you, we have a healing room here. Inside, the round yurt out there, there's a crystal bed. You can have crystal bed sessions. They're pretty phenomenal. Check that out. There's all kinds of ways you can support the center. You can do one-time donations, weekly donations, monthly donations. You know, there's all kinds of ways, so we appreciate. Keep us in your mind when it feels like you have the means to share. I do private sessions. People ask about this all the time. I only mention it once in a while because, you know, the schedule's fairly full. But there's always new openings that we put into the schedule to take care of more emergency sessions. But I do private sessions by phone. If you're interested, call the office. They'll connect you. And thank you if you're on social media for watching us on social media. You know, we appreciate that. You can like and share and all those good things to let people know about the wonderful programs we have. You know, we have a lot of success. There's a lot of people that watch us, but what a lot of people don't know, we're probably the only one I know of anyway. We're a spiritual center that is known around the world, but we don't advertise per se, and we're not open. All of our programs are private. You have to get in to watch them. Most all of them. A Course in Miracles was never advertised, and it sold more than 1 million books 40 years ago. It already sold more than 1 million. It was never advertised. Spirit just carries things sometimes. You know, and when people say to me, we ought to do this and we ought to, you know, I'm not an ambitious person that way. I don't feel that compelled to try to like become a pop culture image. It just seems ridiculous to me. We're just doing something, it's cool, it's real, and the people that find us are ready for this level of consciousness. Does that make sense? Thank you. Tickets are still available to sign up for the Daughters of Heaven conference. I've done every expo and conference you can imagine over the last decades, and there's nothing that I have felt that it had that much grace to it. It's such a beautiful event. So you can sign up for the Daughters of Heaven conference. It's a few months away, and there's books in there to learn more about it. And there's a website, Daughters of Heaven. So please check that out. And this week we have our spiritual mentoring circle. It happens in here. We put chairs in a circle, and we can sit and talk. You know, it's not a lecture per se. It's a little more everybody sharing what kinds of stuff they're maybe running into that they want to work on in their lives, or some of their clients. Some counselors and healers come, and they want to know how to help their clients. But we go to more advanced discussion on how to handle some of the more tenacious kinds of issues that come up for people. You're welcome online or in person to join us every other Wednesday here. Okay? I think that's it. How you feeling? Good, good. You know, I waved a little while ago. I said, thank you. It's kind of funny. You go through construction sites, right? And they slow you down. You know what I'm talking about? The sign people. This is just kind of funny observation. The sign people. It sounds like it's a you know, some sort of alien race. But the sign people. And they got their hard hats and they stand. And, you know, you drive, and I tend to acknowledge them, you know, thank you. And, you know, the guys. Or, right? And it's funny because the gals, hard hat, jeans, still the dress looks the same, the job is the same. And I swear to you, there's this gal, she's holding the sign, and I wait. The other guys, they're like, you know, they do the guy thing. And she goes, it's a construction site, but I still got the little dangly. I'm like, oh, I loved it. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Let me access my inner girl. You know. Oh, hi. Please stand for our closing prayer. Those of you who shared requests and questions, I pray that I've answered them as much as I can with weaving all that together. If you have, you know, greater need, pressing questions, you can email them ahead, or you can just ask each Sunday and we'll do our best. Or you can walk up here before we start and just say, can you, talk a little bit more about this or that if it's really dear to you. Remember, we've got hundreds of free videos on YouTube that you can check out if you want to dive deep into any particular topics. There's on everything from whatever, aliens to Christ consciousness to healing and so on, all right? How did it feel when you reached to each other and said, I feel the grace of God? Good, good. Try to live that way, all right, with all the people around you. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Peace be with you all. God bless.